Hey friends, it's Barbara Jones, your allergenity advisor, and it's my goal to create a world of food allergy inclusion. Today, I want to talk about decision making. Halloween just passed, and there's been a lot of discussion around should people continue to give out candy or should they give out treats? Should they do a mix of both? In the different social groups that I'm a member of, there was a lot of discussion around this topic. I specifically wanted to talk about it from the lens of decision making. Decision making has a lot of stress that is involved in it. We have to make decisions on a daily basis.
When we wake up, what are we going to eat? What are we going to wear? What are we going to do after work?
And the like. When you add food allergies into that mix, it just adds an extra layer of challenges, stress, emotions. There's just a lot of pressure that goes into decision making, whether you're making a decision for food or you're making a decision as a leader. With that in mind, I started to question why people were having this discussion and why it was such a big deal. In my previous video, I shared how we implemented a different way to celebrate Halloween. So the question I have for a lot of people is, how important is this thing? How important is the thing that you want to do? Celebrating Halloween may feel like a rite of passage for many people, and not just Halloween. Tons of holidays where food and treats and candies is involved. How important is this thing? If you have food allergies, how important is it for you to have your children go trick-or-treating? How important is it for you to go to that Halloween party? Food allergy is a part of our lives. Many of us have traditions that we follow that involve food. It begins to challenge us because of our food allergies. How important is this thing to you? Aside from tradition, we have all of the things that society says that we should do, the cultural norms. And then we also have things that make us feel emotionally supported. Food allergy, if severe, can be accompanied by anaphylaxis and can be life-threatening. Not everyone will experience life-threatening food allergies or severe reactions, but for those who do, how important is the tradition? How important is what society says that we should do? And how important is this for your fundamental emotional need? If it is so important to you, we need to start considering alternatives. So in our decision making, what can we do to participate in the thing safely? Halloween just passed in the United States, and many people were complaining about their children being exposed to food allergens during the trick-or-treating process. So, why go? Why go? If it's that important to you, why go? Don't go. Some people may say, that's heartless. That's heartless. How could I tell my daughter, how could I tell my son, how could I tell my friends that I'm not participating in the Halloween events? And the truth of the matter is, your food allergy is your health condition. And so if you want to participate safely, you either have to adjust your expectations and think of alternatives so that you can safely participate, or you need to make a decision that goes against what everybody else is doing. Everybody's eating gluten, but I'm gonna tell you, if I get a drop of it, right, I could get very violently sick. Is it that important to me? So we have to adjust our expectations. As much as we may have been raised to believe that we are the axis that the world spins on, the truth is, it doesn't. It doesn't. The truth is that people will continue to eat the things that they can eat safely. And just because you can't have it because of your food allergies, it doesn't mean that they shouldn't have it. Now, that is not a be all end all statement, right? I'm just trying to make a point of reference and frame decision making with food allergies. It is so important for us to reframe and think about how we're making our decisions when it comes to our health and having food allergies. Can we come up with some alternatives that would be safer for us? Many times we don't even think about it. We don't even think about it. Many times we are so ingrained in our emotions and disappointment with the fact that we have this condition, we feel like it's not fair. Have you yet come to a point of acceptance that you or your child have food allergies? That's really important. It's hard. It's hard. I'm not going to pretend like it's not difficult, and I'm not being dismissive in any way, shape, or form. But again, this is about the decision making, the aspects that are required for us making decisions with food allergies. Sometimes the answer has to be no. Sometimes the answer has to be no. And there can be an explanation that accompanies that no. But for safety, sometimes the answer has to be no. In one of my social groups, a mother was complaining because her daughter had food allergies and they went to a baseball game. Her daughter was allergic to peanuts. Well, what do they do at baseball games? In the United States, they openly eat peanuts at baseball games and they discard the shells on the ground. That it has been that way since the beginning of time, and it will not change anytime soon. I do not care how many people stomp their feet. It will not change anytime soon. That's not to say that people can't speak up about it. That's not to say that, all of these other provisions can be made so that people can safely eat peanuts at baseball games. But can you adjust your expectations? You can go to the baseball game. Maybe you need to pay for club seats where they don't throw peanuts on the floor. Someone may look at this and say, oh my God, she's so rude. How could she say something like that? The sooner we can get to accepting the reality of a thing, the sooner we can treat it and we can manage it. This is about practical food allergy management. This is what we do, practical. It's impractical to think that everybody else will shift and change when you go to their establishment. It does not happen that way, unfortunately. It would be lovely if we said, hey, this is what we want. If I'm going to buy a ticket to the baseball stadium, I have to be mindful that I could be sitting next to a person who is going to be eating peanuts. If it's very important, then we need to move into thinking of alternatives as opposed to thinking of how to police other people. This is when you go to other places. But if people are coming to you, of course you can say, hey, no peanuts in here. That's your place. You have all the say in your kingdom. And that works. But when you go other places, it's more realistic that if they're unable to accommodate you, they're going to say, hey, listen, we can't do that. You're more than welcome to come into our establishment, but we just want you to know we won't be able to control X, whatever X may be with regard to your food allergy. If it's very important to you, think of alternatives. Think of ways that you can have your proverbial cake and eat it too. Can you still go to the baseball field? If you go early, you wipe down your seats. Talk to your neighbors that are going to be surrounding your seats, expressing to them that you have a peanut allergy. And the person who is allergic, wear gloves, wear long sleeves, wear a mask. to participate? Can you upgrade your tickets if box seats are available and choose those instead? There are a number of things that you can do, but you have to think about it first. And if you haven't trained yourself to think about the alternatives, it's time you start doing so that you can enjoy life more and practically. The last part of decision making I really want to address is teaching your family members early. If you have little ones, for example, or teens that have food allergies, start teaching them as early as possible. Come up with songs, go out and practice. The earlier that you teach your child, the longer time it has to sit with them, and it helps them adjust their expectations early. So then they don't lead a life of disappointment because they cannot have the thing that everybody else has. When my son, who has 7 of the top 9 food allergies, he was diagnosed at 7 months. When he was school aged, it was very common and popular for teachers to give out Skittles and Starbursts, M&Ms for treats in the classroom. Well, my son couldn't have those. But when he was 3, I made up a song to teach him his food allergies. And we rattled them off as he was learning them. What are you allergic to? Eggs, wheat, milk, soy. And we went through this whole thing. It got to the point where I couldn't even call off his allergies unless I started that song. Unless I started that song in my head. But that was the point. The point was, from the time that he could talk, it was for me to make sure that he knew his allergies, that he knew he was allergic. So when our family members would have things, I would teach him, well, no, you can't have that because you're allergic, but you can have this. An example would be during movie nights. My daughters could eat popcorn, but he had a corn allergy. So our substitute was rice cakes. I found the rice cakes that he could eat. They were lightly salted, and I crumbled them up to make it look like popcorn. In his mind, it looked the same, it crunched the same, and it was a good alternative for him to feel like he was a part of what everyone else was doing. That's a small example, but a very relevant and important example, because you can provide a lot of reassurance by creating an alternative that lets others feel included. But in the moments that you can't be included, you have to wonder and ask yourself the question, how important is it to you? I hope this helps. Challenge yourself to think of the alternatives so you can have a more supportive and positive experience. Until next time, thanks for watching. Like and subscribe, and we hope that you will share this with someone who needs it.